after getting my year-end bonus. I bought my grad student boyfriend a pair of limited edition Air Jordans. The next day, I found them on a resale app, listed for a fifth of the price. The box was still sealed. I bought them instantly. Once they arrived, I confirmed the delivery and then dialed his number. "Hey babe, did you like the little surprise I got you?" He sounded confused. "What surprise?" I let out a small wounded laugh. "The classic Patek Philippe watch I hid inside the shoebox. It's worth over 50,000. You didn't see it?" I was scrolling through resale on a lazy weekend when a local listing caught my eye. Limited edition Air Jordans, size 11, brand new, unopened, authentic. Needs to go fast. Only $400. I stared at the screen, my mind blanking for a second. I just bought the exact same pair a few days ago. Same model, same size. Because they were a limited release and a rare size, I pulled 3 all-nighters camping online to snag them, paying nearly $2,000. Had to be fakes, right? I clicked on the post and swiped through the photos. My breath caught when I saw the gift wrap on the shoebox. A pale gray paper with a subtle silver stamped pattern. It was the exact one I'd chosen. The official store packaging was too plain, so I'd gone to 2 different specialty shops, agonizing over the options before settling on this one. I'd picked the most understated gray I could find, worried he might think anything else was too flashy. I told myself it was just a coincidence, but a chill was already creeping up my fingers. I tapped on the seller's profile. The IP address was in the same state. After a long moment of silence, I opened a chat with the seller. "Hi. Are the sneakers still available? Are they authentic? Why are they so cheap?" A reply came back instantly. "Hey, don't worry. They're 100% legit. Shipped straight from the flagship store. The box hasn't even been opened." He followed up with a screenshot of the shipping confirmation. Recipient Dan. The sender was my online store ID. My phone nearly slipped from my hand. Seller was my boyfriend Dan. And that shipping screenshot. I was the one who sent it to him. My fingers felt stiff. I took a deep breath and navigated to his resale profile. Scrolling down. In the 6 months we've been together, almost everything I'd ever given him was on there. The brand name headphones I got him for our 1-month anniversary, listed for $200. Gaming console for our 100-day celebration, listed for $400. The new tablet he said he needed for his thesis research, listed for $900. All of them were marked as sold. And then I saw the scarf. The one I'd hand knitted for him last winter. Working until my fingers were raw and blistered. He had held me so tight when I gave it to him, promising he'd wear it forever. Now it was listed for $10. Shipping included. The description read, "Gift from a friend. Not my style. Unworn." I stared at those words, a wave of nausea washing over me. Looking back, the frequency with which Dan asked for gifts was absurd. And there was always a reason. Our 1-month anniversary. Our 100 days, his birthday. The day his thesis proposal also was approved. I bought him something every single time. I had been working for 2 years while he was still in grad school. I figured he didn't have an income, so I tried my best to make sure he never had to spend money on me. That's why I never complained when his gifts to me were cheap snack boxes or little trinkets he'd won from some online referral game. I thought I was being understanding. Now I saw the truth in his eyes. I was just an ATM. Just then, another message popped up in the chat. "Hello? You still want them? If you're serious, I can knock a little more off the price. Can ship today." I stared at the message, a bitter mix of emotions turning inside me. Should I just confront him, break up, and tell him to get lost? No, that would be letting him off way too easy. After a moment's thought, I closed the chat window and changed my shipping address to my best friend's apartment complex, double-checking the details. I hit buy now. The instant the payment went through, a new message appeared. "Awesome. I see you're local. I'll get a courier to bring it over right now. Please confirm the delivery as soon as you get it. I really need the cash." I stared at his words for a second before typing back. "Fine. Send it." An hour later, I was at my best friend Sophie's place, holding the package. The shoebox was pristine, the seal perfectly intact. The custom greeting card I'd asked the store to include was still tucked into the side. He hadn't even bothered to open it. "Isn't that the pair you got for Dan?" Sophie frowned, leaning in for a closer look. "What's going on?" I handed her my phone, letting her read through the resale history. Her expression grew colder with every swipe. "That scumbag," she seized. "What are you going to do? Drive down to his campus and slap him?" I shook my head. Where's the fun in that? If he wanted to cash in on my gifts, I was going to make sure he lost more than he could ever imagine. Just then, another notification popped up from resale. "Hey, the courier says it's been delivered. Could you please confirm the receipt? I'm in a real hurry here, trying to get money together for my girlfriend's birthday present." I froze. Girlfriend? My birthday is in October. It was only March. Which girlfriend was he buying a gift for? Sophie saw the message too and scoffed. So the jerk isn't just using you as a piggy bank. He's cheating on you too? Unbelievable. I didn't say a word. I just tapped confirm receipt. The moment the money transferred, I grabbed a small paring knife from Sophie's fruit bowl and made a tiny deliberate slice in the outer gift wrap. Then I took a photo and sent it to Dan's resale account. Hi. I just started opening the package and noticed the wrapping is damaged. Here. Dan exploded. What? No way, lady. It was perfect when I gave it to the courier. There wasn't a single tear on it. You did that yourself, didn't you? You didn't check it on the spot. And now you're claiming it's damaged after you signed for it? Who knows if you didn't slice it yourself? Trying to get a discount? Not happening. You've already confirmed the receipt. The condition of the item has nothing to do with me anymore. Don't even think about trying to scam me. And with that, before I could even reply, he blocked me. A slow smile spread across my face. That was the guarantee I was waiting for. The condition of the item has nothing to do with me anymore. I switched back to my phone app and called Dan. Immediately, he answered, his voice cheerful. Hey babe, what's up? Miss me already? Uh-huh. I replied. Just wanted to ask if you got the shoes. They fit okay there? Was a brief pause on the other end. Yeah, I got them, he said, his tone a little strained. They fit great, but honey, I don't really like them. Oh. Why not? I'm in my second year of grad school, about to start internships and look for a real job. Wearing sneakers that cost thousands of dollars just feels a little immature. He paused, then deliberately softened his voice. I know you meant well, Mia, but I need to build a more professional image now. These shoes just don't fit with that. I felt the corner of my mouth twitch. I see. Well, you should return them. The website has a 7-day return policy. As long as they haven't been worn. That's almost $2,000. We can get you something more professional with the refund. Don't. He cut in hastily. But you said you didn't like them. I already wore them outside, he said, his words tumbling out. The soles are dirty, and I threw the box away. There's no way they take them back now. Oh, well, I said, drawing out the words. I guess that's that. But, you really think they're immature? Yeah, he said, his confidence returning. He even adopted a slightly lecturing tone. Mia, you shouldn't buy me things like this anymore. I won't get many chances to wear them. I'm about to start my internship. If you really want to get me something, you should get me something practical. Like what? Like a watch? Or the newest iPhone? Those things fit my status. It looked good when I'm meeting clients. I nearly crushed my phone in my hand. A grad student who hadn't even graduated was talking to me about status. No wonder he thought $2,000 sneakers were immature. This was what he was really after. I remembered how 3 days ago, when I sent him the screenshot of the online order, all he'd replied was K. At the time, I thought he was just busy and didn't have time to show excitement. Now I realized he was probably too disappointed to even pretend. You're right, I said slowly. You're about to start your career. You should have some nice things to show for it. Dan's voice immediately brightened. Right. You think so, too? I was actually looking at this Longines watch. It's about $2,000. I cut him off. That's why I tucked a watch inside the shoebox. A classic. On the other end of the line, the silence stretched so thin I could hear the faint, erratic rustle of his breath. It was the sound of a man who had just felt the ground liquefy beneath his feet. Mia? His voice was an octave higher than usual, strained and paper-thin. What did you just say? The watch, Dan, I said, my tone dripping with sweet, clueless warmth. A Patek Philippe Calatrava, Ref 5196G. It was my father's, but I had it fully serviced, polished, and fitted with a brand new alligator strap. It cost me nearly $3,000 just to get the certificate of authenticity updated at the flagship boutique. I thought, since you're starting your career, you needed something that truly represented your potential. I tucked the leather presentation box right under the tissue paper in the bottom compartment of the shoebox. You didn't see it? I could hear a frantic, scraping sound on his end. It sounded like he was scrambling up from a desk, his chair screeching against the linoleum of his rented room. Dan stammered. The slick, lecturing tone he had used seconds ago was entirely gone, replaced by a raw, primal panic. The box. Mia, are you sure you put it in there? Maybe you left it at your apartment. Of course I'm sure, I said, letting a touch of hurt creep into my voice. I personally wrapped it. I even taped a little handwritten note to the velvet case. Dan, you said you threw the box away. Where did you throw it? Surely the dumpster in your building hasn't been emptied yet today. Go look for it. A $50,000 watch isn't something you just shrug off. Right. Yes. The dumpster. I'm going right now, he choked out. Let me know when you find it, okay? I'd hate to think someone else walked off with something so precious. Yeah. I'll call you back. The line went dead. Beside me, Sophie was practically vibrating with silent laughter, her hand pressed hard over her mouth. Oh my God, she whispered, her eyes wide. Mia, you are terrifying. The look on his face right now, I would pay thousands of dollars to see it. He doesn't have time to look in a dumpster, I said, my voice dropping its warm facade and returning to a cool, level calm. He knows exactly where that box is. And he knows he just sold it to a stranger for $400. We didn't have to wait long. Within 3 minutes, Sophie's tablet, which was logged into the burner resale account I had used to buy the shoes, buzzed with a notification. The messages from Dan_99 came in a frantic, stuttering stream. Dan99? Hi. Are you there? Please reply immediately. Dan_99, there's been a massive mistake. A huge mistake. Dan_99, the item I shipped you, the sneakers, it wasn't supposed to go out. My younger brother packed the wrong box. It contained highly valuable personal family heirlooms that were stored inside for safekeeping. Dan_99, please do not open the package. I need it back. I will refund your $400 immediately. I looked at the screen, a cold, slow satisfaction settling into my chest. I tapped the screen, drafting a reply. Buyer_902. What do you mean, family heirlooms? You told me they ship straight from the flagship store. You sent me a screenshot of the retail confirmation. Now you're saying your brother packed family heirlooms in a sealed sneaker box? Dan_99. Yes. It's complicated to explain, but please, I am begging you. I will give you the $400 back and pay you an extra $500 for your trouble. Just don't open it and send it back to me. I can call a courier to pick it up from you right now. Buyer_902. I don't think so. First of all, you blocked me on this app earlier because I complained about a tear in the gift wrap. You told me, and I quote, "The condition of the item has nothing to do with me anymore. Don't even think about trying to scam me." Buyer_902. Now you want it back? How do I know you're not trying to scam me? Maybe you realize these sneakers are worth more and you want to resell them for a higher price. I've already opened the box anyway. A long pause followed. I could picture Dan, sweating through his shirt, staring at his screen in absolute terror. Dan_99, you opened it? Did you find anything else inside? Apart from the shoes? Buyer_902. Just the shoes. And some crumpled tissue paper. What else would be in there? It was a lie, of course. The watch was currently sitting on Sophie's coffee table, its polished white gold bezel catching the afternoon light. It was stunning, heavy, and completely paid for by my hard work. Seeing it there, divorced from the man who had so casually discarded my affection, filled me with a quiet sense of ownership. It was mine again. Dan_99. Are you sure? Please check again. Look under the cardboard insert. Please. Buyer_902. Look, buddy, I'm busy. I bought these shoes, I paid for them, and you confirmed the transaction. Stop harassing me or I'm reporting your account to the platform administrators. I closed the app. So, Sophie said, leaning over the back of the sofa. What's the next move? He's going to lose his mind trying to figure out where that watch went. If he thinks the buyer didn't find it, he might think it fell out or that he actually did throw it away or... He's greedy, Sophie, but he's not stupid, I said, studying the watch. He'll check his room. He'll check his trash. And then he'll realize that if the buyer claims they didn't find it, either the buyer is lying to keep a $50,000 watch, or someone else got to it first. But right now, he has a much bigger problem. The other girlfriend, Sophie said, her eyes flashing with diagnostic glee. Let's find out who she is. It took us less than an hour of digital archaeology to piece together the puzzle of Dan's double life. Dan had always been careful with his main social media accounts. He rarely posted photos of us, claiming he preferred to keep his private life academic and low profile because of his department's conservative culture. I stupidly had respected that. But Sophie, who has a master's degree in internet sleuthing, bypassed his main accounts entirely. She searched the public transaction history of his Venmo, cross-referenced his university department's directory, and finally landed on an Instagram account belonging to a first-year graduate student named Elena. Elena's profile was public, and it was a gallery of carefully curated, high-end student life. There were photos of her at expensive rooftop lounges, aesthetic shots of textbooks next to designer handbags, and, from 3 weeks ago, a photo of a candlelit dinner at an upscale French restaurant. The caption read, "Sustenance for the soul. Thank you, D. White heart." In the reflection of the wine glass, we could see a sliver of Dan's face. D. Sophie murmured. Very subtle. Let's see what else D has been funding. We scrolled further down. 2 months ago, Elena posted a picture of herself wearing a sleek, high-end pair of noise-canceling headphones, the exact brand and color I had bought Dan for our 1-month anniversary. The caption, "Study sessions just got an upgrade. Best boyfriend ever." A wave of cold, heavy anger settled in my chest, replacing the lingering trace of grief. He hadn't just sold my gifts for quick cash. He had sold them to fund a lifestyle for another woman, wrapping himself in the guise of a wealthy, generous benefactor while using my salary to pay for it. The tablet he needed for his thesis? Sold to pay for her birthday dinner reservations, no doubt. The $2,000 sneakers? Listed to buy her a birthday present. Look at this, Sophie said, tapping a post from just 2 days ago. It was a screenshot of a reservation confirmation at Lacquerbate, one of the most exclusive Michelin-starred restaurants in the city. The reservation was set for next Friday night, Elena's actual birthday. Elena had written, "He promised me a night I'd never forget. Countdown is on." A dinner at Lacquerbate costs at least $600 just for the tasting menu, I murmured. No wonder he was so desperate to sell my sneakers. He needed the cash to pay the deposit and buy her a gift. And now he thinks he's lost a $50,000 asset, Sophie said, a wicked smile spreading across her face. He's probably going through all 5 stages of grief simultaneously right now. Right on cue, my phone began to ring. It was Dan. I waited until the 6th ring before answering. Dan, did you find the box? Mia, he gasped. He sounded winded, as if he had actually been running. I went to the dumpster. The leasing office said the trash truck came early today. It's gone. The whole dumpster was emptied. He was lying, of course. He hadn't checked any dumpster. He was trying to establish a narrative where the watch was lost to the ether, so I wouldn't suspect he had sold the box. Oh no, I said, putting a hand to my mouth, letting my voice tremble slightly. Dan, please tell me you're joking. That watch was everything. I spent my entire year-end bonus on those shoes and that watch. I wanted to give you something that would make you feel confident when you started your new life. How could you be so careless? I'm sorry. Mia, I'm so sorry, he cried. The panic in his voice was genuine, even if the premise was a lie. He was mourning the loss of a small fortune. I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me beforehand? Because it was supposed to be a surprise. I cried back, letting a tear slip into my tone. I wanted to see the look on your face when you found it. I can't believe this. $50,000, gone because you couldn't even keep a shoebox in your apartment for 3 days. I'll find it, he said frantically. I'll call the waste management company. I'll track down the truck. I'll do whatever it takes. Don't bother, I said coldly, transitioning from hurt to angry. The landfill is miles wide. If it's gone, it's gone. I need some time to think, Dan. Please don't call me right now. Mia, wait. I hung up. Phase 1 complete, I said to Sophie, wiping my dry eyes. He thinks the watch is buried under tons of garbage. He's sick to his stomach, he's broke, and he still has to find a way to impress his other girlfriend next Friday. What's phase 2? Sophie asked, leaning forward, her eyes bright with anticipation. Phase 2, I said, looking down at the beautiful, ticking Patek Philippe watch on the table, is making sure he gets exactly what he deserves. In front of the audience that matters to him most. Over the next few days, I played the role of the grieving, distant girlfriend perfectly. I ignored most of Dan's texts, replying only with brief, cold sentences. I'm still too upset to talk. I can't believe you threw it away. Please give me space. Each message was designed to keep him on edge, preventing him from focusing on his studies or his internship preparation. Through the burner resale account, I also kept the pressure on. Buyer_902. Hey, I looked closely at the shoes. One of the heels has a tiny scuff mark. I want a partial refund of $150, or I'm going to open a dispute with the platform and send them back. Dan_99. No. Please don't return them. The transaction is closed. I don't have the money right now to refund you. Buyer_902. Then find it. If you don't send me $150 via Venmo by Thursday, I'm filing a formal fraud dispute. The platform will freeze your seller account and hold your funds. I knew Dan had already transferred the $400 to his bank account to pay for the Lacquerbate reservation deposit. If the platform froze his account, his seller rating, which he had used to pawn off thousands of dollars of my gifts, would be ruined, and he might even face a penalty. He was trapped. He was bleeding money he didn't have, trying to keep a mistress happy, while mourning a fortune he thought he had thrown into a landfill. On Thursday morning, I received a Venmo notification. Dan_99 sent you $150. He had actually done it. He had scraped together another $150 to keep the buyer from disputing the sale. He was officially running on empty. That afternoon, I called him. Mia, he answered on the first ring, his voice incredibly weary. Are you still mad at me? I've been thinking, Dan, I said, keeping my voice soft, gentle, and forgiving. I was too harsh on you. It was an accident. You didn't know the watch was in there. It's my fault for trying to be too clever with a surprise. I heard a heavy, ragged sigh of relief over the line. Oh, thank God. Mia, you don't know how much that means to me. I've been sick to my stomach all week. I haven't slept a wink. I know, I said, smiling silently at Sophie. And because I know how stressed you've been with your upcoming internships and your studies, I want to make it up to you. I want to take you out for a nice dinner. Just the two of us. Really? That sounds amazing. Where? I managed to get a table at Lacquerbait, I said smoothly. For tomorrow night. Friday at 8. A sharp intake of breath. Friday? At 8?
L'Acrobat.
Yes, I said, feigning excitement. I know it's incredibly hard to get a reservation there, but one of my corporate clients canceled their booking and offered it to me. I know you've been talking about wanting to build a more professional image and experience higher status places. I thought this would be perfect. Is Friday night okay for you? Friday. Dan stammered. I knew exactly what was happening in his head. Friday at 8 was the exact date and time of his reservation with Elena. He had probably spent his last remaining dollars on the deposit for that table. If he canceled on Elena, he risked losing the girl he was trying so hard to impress. But if he turned down Mia, the woman who had previously bought him $2,000 shoes and a $50,000 watch, and who might still be a source of future luxury, he risked cutting off his primary golden goose. Is there a problem, Dan? I asked, my voice cool. Do you have other plans?
No.
No plans, he said quickly, his voice tight with desperation. Friday is perfect. I'd love to go. But, Mia, can we make it a bit earlier? Or maybe later, like 9:30? No. The reservation is strictly for 8, I said firmly. They don't hold tables. If you can't make it, I'll just take Sophie instead. No, I'll be there. I'll absolutely be there, he promised. 8 o'clock. I'll see you there.
Great.
Wear something nice. Oh, and Dan? Don't worry about the bill. This one is entirely on me. You're the best, Mia. Truly. As soon as he hung up, Sophie and I immediately went to work. Using the burner Instagram account we had created, Sophie sent a direct message to Elena. S_S_99. Hey Elena, I saw your post about your birthday reservation at Lacquerbait tomorrow night. Just wanted to give you a heads up, your boyfriend Dan booked that table, but he's actually taking another girl there at the exact same time. If you want to see for yourself, you should show up at 8 p.m. He's been telling everyone she's his sponsor, who buys him all his luxury gear. It was a bold, messy bait, but for a girl like Elena, who clearly valued status and public perception above all else, the hint of being publicly humiliated or played for a fool was irresistible. Do you think she'll bite? Sophie asked. She will, I said, looking at the screen. Because if there's one thing people like Dan and Elena hate more than anything, it's looking poor or looking foolish in front of others. Friday night arrived. The air was crisp, carrying the faint, early scent of spring. Lacquerbait was located in a restored historical building downtown. The interior was a masterclass in understated wealth, low amber lighting, plush velvet booths, and the soft, ambient murmur of the city's elite. I arrived at 10 minutes to 8. I was wearing a tailored black silk dress, my hair swept up, and on my left wrist, resting casually but visibly, was the Patek Philippe Calatrava. I was seated at a prime booth near the center of the main dining room, offering a clear view of both the entrance and the surrounding tables. At exactly 8 o'clock, Dan walked in. He looked exhausted. There were faint dark circles under his eyes, and his suit, though nice, looked slightly rumpled. He had likely spent the last 24 hours trying to fabricate an excuse to Elena, perhaps claiming a family emergency or a sudden academic crisis, to explain why he had to reschedule their dinner, while keeping her from canceling the reservation entirely. When he saw me, he forced a bright, charming smile and walked over, sliding into the booth opposite me. Mia, he said, reaching across the table to take my hand. You look beautiful. Thank you, Dan, I said, keeping my hand still, letting him hold it but not squeezing back. You look a little tired. Have you been sleeping okay? Just stressed with the end of the semester, he lied smoothly, his eyes scanning the menu. But being here with you, it makes it all worth it. This place is incredible. It is, I agreed. And I wanted to make sure tonight was truly unforgettable. As he opened his menu, his eyes naturally drifted down toward my hands resting on the table. His gaze froze. The color drained from his face so rapidly, I thought he might faint. His eyes widened, locking onto the silver-white gold casing and the dark alligator strap of the watch on my wrist. He stared at it as if he were looking at a ghost. Mia, he whispered, his voice trembling. That watch. Oh, this? I raised my wrist slightly, letting the ambient light catch the polished bezel. Do you like it? I decided to wear it tonight. Where? How? Dan swallowed hard, his throat dry. I thought you said you put it in the shoebox. The one that was thrown away. I did, I said, leaning forward, resting my chin on my hand, giving him a calm, steady look. But then a very strange thing happened. I found the exact same pair of limited edition Air Jordans on a resale app. The box was still sealed. The seller was local. And when I asked for proof of authenticity, the seller sent me a screenshot of a shipping confirmation with your name on it, Dan. Dan sat completely paralyzed. The quiet chatter of the restaurant seemed to fade into a dull hum. His hands, still holding the menu, began to shake. I bought them instantly. I continued, my voice conversational, as if I were describing a pleasant afternoon at the park. And when the package arrived at Sophie's apartment, I opened it. And guess what? The watch was still inside, completely untouched. You didn't even bother to open the box before you sold it for $400. Mia? He reached out, his fingers twitching, trying to find words, trying to build a lie, but his brain was short-circuiting. I can explain. I was in a really tight spot financially. The research funding didn't come through, and then I interrupted, my voice remaining perfectly level. I looked at your seller history. The brand name headphones, the gaming console, the tablet I bought you for your thesis. Even the scarf I spent 3 weeks hand knitting for you, listed for $10. Gift from a friend. Not my style. Unworn. A tear of sheer, cold panic rolled down Dan's cheek. Mia, please. I love you. I was planning to buy them back. I was going to use the money to buy a birthday present for Elena? The name hit him like a physical blow. He flinched, his mouth hanging open. We saw the Venmo transactions, Dan. I said softly. We saw her Instagram. We saw the headphones you gave her. The dinners you paid for with the money you made from selling my affection. You've been using me as a personal clearinghouse to fund your double life. Mia, no. She's just a classmate. I was tutoring her, and she. Then perhaps you can explain it to her yourself, I said, gesturing toward the entrance of the restaurant. Dan turned his head slowly, as if in a nightmare. Standing near the host stand was Elena. She was wearing a stunning red dress, looking every bit the sophisticated grad student she portrayed online. She was looking around the dining room, her phone in her hand, her expression tight with suspicion. When her eyes landed on our table, specifically on Dan, sitting opposite a woman in a black silk dress, her face hardened. She walked straight over to our booth. Dan, her voice was sharp, cutting through the low hum of the restaurant. What is going on here? You told me your advisor called an emergency thesis review tonight. You said you had to stay in the lab until midnight. Dan scrambled to his feet, nearly knocking over his water glass. Elena, what are you doing here? This isn't what it looks like. This is Mia. She's an old family friend. She's helping me with some financial planning. I couldn't help but let out a soft, genuine laugh. An old family friend? Dan, please. At least have the decency to be creative. I looked up at Elena, offering her a polite, calm smile.
Hi, Elena.
I'm Mia. I'm the sponsor who bought the headphones you're wearing in your Instagram photo. I'm also the one who bought the tablet Dan sold last month to pay for your dinner at La Mer. And tonight, I'm the one who bought back the $2,000 sneakers he tried to sell to fund your birthday present. Elena's eyes darted from me to Dan, her expression shifting from anger to utter confusion, and then to a deep, burning embarrassment as she realized the true source of Dan's wealth. Is this true? She hissed, looking at Dan. You told me your family had an investment fund. You told me you bought those headphones with your fellowship money. Elena, she's lying. She's just jealous. She's trying to ruin us. Dan pleaded, reaching for her arm. Don't touch me. Elena snapped, drawing back as if he were covered in ash. Several diners at neighboring tables turned to look. The head waiter began to hover nearby, his expression laced with quiet concern. And as for the reservation tonight, I added, looking at Elena. Dan actually booked a table for the two of you here, using the deposit from the shoes he sold me. But when I offered to take him out tonight, he couldn't resist the chance of keeping his primary source of income happy. He was planning to slide over to your table right after he finished eating with me, or perhaps make an excuse to leave early. He's very efficient that way. Elena stared at Dan, her face burning red with humiliation. She looked at the expensive restaurant, the staring patrons, and the pathetic, sweating man in front of her. You are disgusting, she whispered. She threw her designer clutch over her shoulder, turned on her heel, and marched out of the restaurant, her heels clicking sharply against the hardwood floor. Dan made a move to follow her, but stopped, torn between chasing the girl he wanted to impress and facing the woman who held his financial and social life in her hands. He turned back to me, his face twisted in a mixture of anger and desperation. Are you happy now? You ruined everything. I have nothing left. You never had anything to begin with, Dan, I said, my voice quiet, devoid of any anger, which seemed to frighten him more than any shouting would have. You built your entire life on a foundation of stolen generosity. You treated my love as a commodity, and you treated me as a fool. But the thing about commodities is that their value fluctuates. And right now, your stock has hit zero. I stood up, smoothing down my dress. I reached into my purse, pulled out a crisp $100 bill, and laid it on the table. For the water and the bread, I said. Since you're so short on cash. I walked out of the dining room, my head held high, the heavy, reassuring weight of my father's watch ticking quietly against my wrist. Outside, the cool night air hit my face, fresh and clean. Sophie was waiting for me in her car near the curb, the window rolled down, a massive grin on her face. "How did it go?" she asked. I slid into the passenger seat, pulling the seatbelt across my chest. I looked out the window as Dan stumbled out of the restaurant's entrance, looking lost, broke, and entirely alone in the glittering expanse of the city. "It went perfectly," I said softly. "Let's go home."